All right, let's get right into it. If you're learning English, you've definitely had that moment of panic when you have to pick a preposition to go with a noun. It can feel like a total guessing game, right? Well, today, we're going to crack the code.
So what about this one? His reaction on the news. It sounds almost right, doesn't it? This is exactly the kind of tiny error that even pretty advanced speakers can make.
But then you hear someone say it this way, his reaction to the news, and it just clicks. It sounds perfect. That one little word, to, makes all the difference. It's a tiny change, but it has a huge impact.
So obviously, one is correct. But the bigger question is why? If you've ever felt like these preposition rules are just completely random, trust me, you are not alone. It's one of the trickiest parts of getting fluent in English. But I've got some really good news for you. This is not about memorizing thousands of random combinations off some giant, boring list. That's the slow, painful, and honestly not very effective way to learn.
The real secret here is to stop trying to memorize and start looking for the patterns. Believe it or not, there's a kind of hidden logic to why certain nouns love certain prepositions. And once you see it, everything starts to make so much more sense.
So, let's build your toolkit. We're going to look at the core ideas behind the most common prepositions, and I want you to think of these not as strict rules, but more like tools you can use to build better, more natural-sounding sentences.
First up in our toolkit is the word for. Whenever you see a noun followed by for, I want you to think of it as answering the question, what for, or what's the purpose. It's all about signaling the reason, the goal, or the benefit of something.
And check out how this plays out. A demand exists for the purpose of getting housing. A remedy exists for the purpose of curing a headache. You have respect for the reason that your teacher is amazing. See that pattern? It's all about the why.
Okay, next up is to. Now, if for is about purpose, to is all about direction and connection. I like to picture it as a little arrow pointing from one thing directly to another. It's creating a very clear link or relationship.
And you can really see that connecting arrow right here. A commitment points to a job. A reaction is directed to the news. Hey, there's the answer to our first puzzle. And a solution connects directly to a problem. It's all about that link. All right, our next tool is in. This one is all about putting a noun inside of something bigger. Now, I don't mean a physical box, but more like inside a situation, a condition, or a field of study. If you can imagine the noun being contained within a larger idea, in is probably your word.
Take a look. An increase happens within the context of unemployment rates. A person has an interest within the field of psychology. And that huge rise is happening in the current situation of online learning. It's about being part of something bigger.
Now, let's talk about with. We said to is like an arrow pointing at something, right? Well, with is more like a handshake. It's about partnership, connection, or just two things being together. It's about association.
And you can totally feel that sense of togetherness in these phrases. A relationship you have with your colleagues, a problem that's associated with the software, or the experience that comes with traveling to different cultures. It's all about that connection. And finally, let's look at a real powerhouse, the preposition of. This little word is probably the most common, and it does a lot of jobs. Think of it as a defining word. It often tells you what something belongs to, what it's made of, or a key quality about it. So for example, we have the cause of the accident. The cause belongs to the accident. We have knowledge of a subject. That's what the knowledge is about. And then you have a quantity, like a large number of people. In every case, OF is there to help define or specify the noun that comes right before it.
Okay, so you've got the basic toolkit down. Now let's level up a bit and look at some of the finer details. This is where you really start to sound natural, like a native speaker.
And this is where it gets really cool. Choosing the right preposition isn't always just about being grammatically correct. Sometimes swapping out that one tiny word can completely change what you're trying to say. This is a perfect example. If you talk about a relationship with a person, you're talking about a personal connection, right? But if you talk about the relationship between two things, like two sets of data, you're talking about a logical or scientific connection. Same noun, different preposition, completely different meaning. And this becomes absolutely crucial in more formal or academic writing. Getting these phrases right, an investigation into a subject, research on a topic, the impact on a population, this is what makes your writing sound clear, professional, and really precise. All right,
It's time to put your new tools to work. We've seen the patterns, we've looked at the details, now let's make sure it all sticks.
Okay, here's a little challenge for you. Take a look at this sentence. There is a strong demand to renewable energy. Based on the patterns we've just talked about, what's wrong here? What's the error? Go on, think about the purpose.
And there it is. The demand exists for the purpose of getting renewable energy, so the preposition we need is for. There is a strong demand for renewable energy. See? You're already starting to think in patterns. That's fantastic.
So it turns out these little words aren't so random after all. It's all about purpose, direction, connection, and context. The real question is, now that you can see these hidden patterns, what new, clearer, and more powerful connections are you going to start making in English?